want to switch gears a little bit. And on a separate note, one thing I wanted to pick your brain was the metaverse. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg seems to be continuing to push the envelope aggressively with all his metaverse dreams. Yet, again, no one I know is really playing in these metaverse spaces. Horizon Worlds comes to mind. I do agree with a lot of what people are saying that eventually we will have a metaverse, but is Zuckerberg the person that's going to be leading this new phase, and what does the future of the metaverse actually look like moving forward?
Yeah, great questions, Aaron. Great questions. Metaverse to me is one of those technologies that got way too overhyped and is now deflating, but is simultaneously trying to find its niche because there is a value out there. So what I see the metaverse as, and why I'm actually bullish on the metaverse, let's be clear on that, I am bullish on it. It's not because I'm bullish on what Zuckerberg is building. Personally, I have no interest in that. Some people do, though. And that's the thing. That's why I'm bullish on the metaverse. The metaverse allows for the creation of a digital world. Now, that digital world can be whatever you really want it to be. It can be what Zuckerberg is trying to build, which is literally a virtual world where you have an avatar and you make friends and you hang out and you play games and you climb trees and you chit chat and all that stuff. Like, that is one way you can use the digital world. Another way you
Finding
can use
trees. Got it. Cool.
Yeah. Another way you can do it is digital twin technology. So you can plug into the metaverse and you can go see a real world replica and walk through a real world replica of the Great Pyramids of Egypt or the Coliseum or on the Great Wall of China. That's an application I would use. Another application is a business owner can plug into their spaces so let's say you're a real estate operator or you own a bunch of restaurants or something. You can plug into your restaurants all across the country or the state or the city or wherever you are. Let's say you own restaurants and you live in LA, but you have restaurant locations in San Diego, Las Vegas, New York, and Houston. As opposed to flying out and seeing them, you can plug into the virtual world and visit them via real dynamic technology enabled by hardware at those locations. That's a pretty cool application. So when I think about, and then another one is digital shopping. Some people really like to try on clothes, virtual try on. I think that could be a really big application of the metaverse. So when we look at the metaverse, the reason I'm bullish is because the opportunities are actually it's kind of like the internet. It's kind of limitless. Like when the internet came around, a lot of people were like, oh, I'm not going to use it to, listen to music or chat with friends or all that stuff. But eventually, as the internet matured and grew and became more of a ubiquity, everybody found something they could do on the internet. Even my 85-year-old grandmother is finding things you can do on the internet now that are useful. And I think that is what the metaverse is going to go through. A very similar maturing and aging process that we're all laughing at Zuckerberg's version of the metaverse today. And I get it. I'm laughing at it too. It's comically bad. It really is. But that's not what VR, XR, AR are all about. That is one facet of what they can do. What they're really going to do is unlock a whole new world of possibilities that eventually all 9 billion people on Earth, when this becomes a ubiquity, will find some utility for. Whether it's, again, going to visit the Great Pyramids of Egypt, whether it's to virtually tour a hotel room before you buy it, whether it's to manage your restaurant or retail locations from a central headquarters, whether it's to plug in and play games with your friends in a virtual world, whether it's to go shopping with friends in a virtual world, regardless of what it is, we're all going to find some utility. And that's why I'm bullish on the metaverse. I think that there is a lot of potential there. Now, what Meta is doing, the bull thesis on Meta is this, and I don't necessarily subscribe to this, but this is the bull thesis. Stock's dirt cheap. Of course, we all know that. Instagram's dying. Facebook's already dead. WhatsApp and Messenger are proven impossible to monetize. So the whole future of the business is hinging on the metaverse. Zuckerberg's vision of the metaverse, I think, is dumb. But They have a crap ton of cash, and they are allocating a ton of resources to building the hardware necessary to plug into the metaverse. So the long-term bull thesis on Meta is, again, I don't necessarily subscribe to this, but this is what a bull would tell you. Meta is becoming the Apple or Microsoft of the metaverse. Microsoft built the computers that allowed you to plug into the internet. Apple built the iPhone that allowed you to plug into the internet. Meta is now building the headsets and the hardware that will allow you to plug into the metaverse. So as the metaverse becomes ubiquity, even if Zuckerberg's software version of the metaverse is a complete joke, in building that, they had to simultaneously create the hardware necessary to plug into the metaverse. So they're kind of becoming more of a hardware company. So that's the long-term bull thesis on Meta. I don't necessarily subscribe to it. I think there's a lot of competition with Microsoft, with Alphabet, and I don't know that necessarily believe that Meta's going to be the one to pull it off from a hardware angle, but that's the bull thesis on Meta. So long story short, I do believe in the metaverse, not because I believe in what Zuckerberg is building or what his vision for it is, but rather because beyond that, I see many use cases that eventually all of us will find some utility in a virtual world. And as much as you might say today that you don't, I believe that you probably will, just like
So you brought up an interesting analogy between the adoption of the internet versus the how, nobody was going to use it for shopping. Nobody was going to use it to listen to music. Do you feel that because we have the internet, because we have that familiarity with a system where we have all these capabilities, why does it seem like the barrier of entry to the metaverse is so much higher right now than one would expect with somebody who grew up with the internet with all of these tools and services at our disposal?
We didn't grow up with the headsets, right? We didn't grow up with the headset. That's a totally intrusive item. And I think we've talked about this before. I think in order for the metaverse to really gain traction, it has to become non-intrusive. When did the internet really take off? People think, the internet took off in the 90s and 2000s. No, it didn't. Internet penetration rates didn't rise exponentially until the 2010s. What happened in the 2010s? Apple created a thing called an iPhone that put the internet in the palm of your freaking hand. Breakthrough technologies like the internet don't go mainstream, become ubiquity until they become hyper accessible in the palm of your hand. A headset is not hyper accessible. It has to be charged. It stays in one place in the room. It's like a desktop computer, basically. And it's even more intrusive and isolating because you actually put it on and you zone out from the world. That's not going to work. Once the hardware advances to a stage of we get an iPhone similar device for the metaverse, for virtual reality, for augmented reality, for extended reality. I think that's either going to be glasses or contacts or something like that. Once that becomes a thing, then we see hockey stick like growth in metaverse engagement. At least that's my thesis. And so that to answer your question, I think that is partially why, even though people like you and me and everybody under the age of 35 has grown up in the world of the internet and knows nothing but the internet, the metaverse still feels alien because the way we plug into the internet is not really intrusive. We're at dinner and we're on our phones. We're in a movie theater and we're on our phones. We're at a ball game and we're on our phones, right? You can't do that with the metaverse. You can't bring your headset to dinner. You can't bring your headset to the ball game. You can't bring your headset to the movie theater. Once you can bring those technologies to our everyday lives, then you create access for mainstream to use this technology. But until we get there, it's going to remain niche. And so that's why we're looking at the companies and their hardware developments, and they're not there yet, but they're going to get there. And when they get there, that's when we get really bullish from an investment perspective on metaverse stocks, on VR stocks, on AR stocks, XR stocks, all that stuff.
Thanks for watching HGI Clips. For the full episode, head on over to our sister channel at Hypergrowth Investing by clicking the link in the description or listen to the podcast on any of your favorite streaming platforms. We make new episodes every Wednesday, so make sure to check it out and subscribe to never miss any of Luke's Hypergrowth insights.